Good morning, class. Happy Monday. Welcome to a new unit of math. So today we are going to start our unit on tessellations. And I've sent home a new anchor chart for this unit, and this is the only one you'll need. So let's look at our definition together. A tessellation is a pattern formed by fitting pieces of the same shape together without any gaps or overlaps. So they all just fit together, and you kind of see the illustration. So this is all diamonds and this is all triangles, and even though it's white, it's like a white triangle, right? So these designs can extend in any direction, and they can have more than one shape as long as there are no gaps in the shapes. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking one shape, one form, and we're rotating it or sliding or flipping it over if you need to, but we're moving it around so that it fits together in one ungapped form, okay? So that is what a tessellation is. So I've given you two examples here, and you can see we have like our triangle, and this one they have to flip upside down to rotate, and then this one, it looks like they're basically just moving, right? Like you could just slide the diamond, or I guess it's a rhombus. You could call it a rhombus. You could just slide it in the directions that it's going in, and it works, right? So let's look at some examples in the textbook. So I'm going to open my textbook to page 76, okay? And these are tessellations. So these tiling patterns are tessellations, and each of them is made with only one shape. So that's all we're going to be focusing on this year. It's just one shape. And you can see this is a hexagon, and it's been pieced together to form a pattern, right? This is an irregular shape. Looks kind of like hexagons squished together, but nonetheless, this central shape is moved around to form a pattern. And same here, this is like a weird curvy shape, but it is a tessellation because you can piece multiple shapes together of the same shape, and it all fits with no gaps. So it says, in a tessellation, the tiles are fitted together with no gaps in between. That's the key thing, that there's no gaps at all, okay? So let's look at page 77. So you can see in our thought bubble that this is the central shape that forms this tessellation pattern. So let's examine what the central shapes are in each of these patterns. And the way that we're going to do that is with our transparency paper that I sent home and our whiteboard markers. So what we're going to do is we're going to just trace over one of the shapes and see how it forms the tessellation, okay? So we can see we're going to do these four together. So we've got our transparency paper, and if it helps you to be more accurate, you can use a ruler, but I'm just going to trace here, and I'm going to find one shape. So this guy moves like that. Okay, and so that's my starter shape, and I can see that he just is slid, like you slide him down and then he can go to the next shape, and it's all the same, and you can slide it sideways and then it is still building the pattern, right? So we slide sideways and then you can slide it down and down and down. So this one isn't rotating at all, it's just sliding, and you could keep going, right? So I could slide it up, I could slide it over, and it all fits together, right? So that's that shape. So now let's look at this one. This one's quite spiky. And I want you to be doing this too with your own transparency paper, right? And the whiteboard marker that I sent home. So this one, same kind of thing. It's just slid to fit in the next spot. So you can see it's kind of diagonal, right? But it all fits together. It doesn't have to rotate or anything. It's just sliding along. And again, you could keep going forever, right? So like that fits in that spot and it fits there, and you could just keep tiling, okay? So we've got two more. So All right, so this one, oh here, let me make that a bit more clear. This one, so it's just sliding down for this row, so you can see that. But then, this one we actually do have to rotate for the next level. Do you see how that happened? So we rotate it to get to the next level going sideways. So I'm gonna rotate it back so that it can fit here and go along that way. So that's where sometimes, in order to make sure our tessellation pattern has no gaps in it, we have to rotate our central shape, okay? So that's what's happened here. Okay, and let's look at the last one. So this is an interesting shape. Okay, and there's our central shape. And this one, we have to rotate it right away. In order to start our pattern, it rotates to fit there and beside it. And then it rotates to go down and rotates, because it kind of hooks itself together in this case. So there's a lot of rotating happening here. Oh, there. Do you see how that is happening? So we have to rotate it in order to continue the pattern. And see, even here, like if I wanted to continue the pattern in this spot, I had to rotate it from this shape that it's now like hooked into. And I would probably want to rotate it so it was here if I was continuing it this way. And then for this spot, it's upside down again, okay? So you see how sometimes we have to rotate our shapes in order to continue our tessellation pattern, and even in order to see that the tessellation works, okay? So as you can see, tessellations are patterns that have no gaps in them, right? And we can actually see this all over the place in the world. So even the floors that we all walk on are often tessellations of rectangles. I have our classroom wall divider, and this is a tessellation. Look, all these rectangles that are just fitting together to form a pattern, right? So we can see it in our houses and in the world around us, and even in artwork. Some people do artwork specifically using tessellations as a pattern, right? Which is so cool. So you can look around your own home and see if you can find tessellations anywhere. All right, and now we are going to make some more tessellations. So you need to find your first piece of dot paper, and you need to find this page. This is page 101, if you can see in the corner, and it's shapes that can tessellate. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick a few of these shapes. I want you to pick at least 3 of these shapes, and we're gonna tessellate them on our dot paper together. Okay, so I'm gonna do my 3 examples with you guys, and I want you to try it for yourself as well. So make sure you have these, and you're gonna need a writing utensil, a pencil, and a ruler to help you as well. So let's do some tessellations. All right, so I have picked from this page with all of the shapes that can tessellate 3 shapes that I have cut out already. So if you need to take a minute and cut out your 3 shapes, or you can wait until after I do my examples, okay? But these are the 3 shapes that I have chosen to tessellate. So I've got this fun one, this one, that's a quadrilateral, and this fun one, okay? So I'm gonna just start at the corner of my dot paper, and the dot paper is here just to kind of guide us and help us to see where our tessellations fit. So I'm gonna trace my tessellation design and follow it around for my pattern, okay? So I'm actually gonna just use this as an outline, and I'm gonna use the dots as markers, okay? And then I'm gonna use my ruler so my lines are nice and straight. Okay. But if you want to, it's totally okay if you just trace the paper cutout that you've made, okay? And so now I have my initial pattern. So I'm gonna take my shape, and I'm actually gonna start by flipping it upside down because that seems like a good place for it to fit, okay? So So I'll slide it up for you to see. And I'm just gonna mark my corners again, my new corners that I need to make lines for. But again, if you want to just trace, that is totally okay. So I've got this, and you can see I only needed to do 3 of the sides because this part is already covered, right? So you see how there's no gaps in my pattern, okay? And now I'm going to put this guy here. I'm flipping him again so he's in the original rotation, and I'm going to mark my dots. Okay. So there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna draw this just so you can see, but it carries off the page. I didn't give myself enough room, but the pattern fits there. So I'm going to just draw that there as if it would continue off the page, right? So we've got this line there, and then it would just keep going, okay? So there you go. So we've got 4 patterns, and it would keep going if we wanted it to, right? So we can put this here. Okay. Okay, and then facing this way, again, it carries off the page. We can start to draw our diagonal, and you can see how there's still no gaps, right? Okay, let's try another one. So here I have this guy, and I'm gonna do my same strategy where I just mark the dots on my dot paper. And I'm gonna mark this spot, and this spot. Okay. And this one, I'm going to start by rotating it because it looks like this corner, which I got from here, fits nicely in this corner. So there we go, we have no gaps. I'll mark my corner dots. Okay. Okay, and there we have 2. And then let's go this direction because this looks like it fits. It'll be slightly off the page for us. Okay. And sorry if you missed that. So I'm continuing the pattern by rotating it upside down here. Okay, so there we have it. And again, we can do the same rotatey thing here. And it'll be slightly off the page again. Okay, but you can see, and then I can tuck another one right here. Okay. And there's another one. And then I can keep going here. Oop. And so on. So you can see, and sorry, oops, there, the tessellation pattern that I'm making. And so I started here, and I just tried rotating it to see where it could fit together best. And so that was my second step. And then I continued down this way, and I rotated it again. And then it fit nicely here. And so I rotated it again, and it's the idea that you could keep going, right? So like I would start here, and I would be able to rotate it again and just keep going and going and going, okay? So there's two examples, so I'll give you one more. So this one, I'm gonna start it here. This is my first one. And this one I'm just gonna rotate upside down to go beside it. Okay. All right, so you can see, and I'll rotate it back this way. And we're gonna go off the dot paper a little bit, but that's okay. Because we're staying in line. Okay. And we can rotate it again to keep going. Okay, so there's 4 of those in a row, and if you wanted to keep it going this way, you could just match it up, right? So like I would put this one here, and then it's the same process. I would rotate it, and rotate it, and rotate it again, okay? So I want you to grab your own 4 of these, or 3 of these, sorry, and try to tessellate them at least 4 times, okay? And so some you'll probably be able to slide. So like this one, you can just slide it around because it's a perfect rectangle. This one, I'm guessing you'll probably have to rotate. This one looks like you can just slide it. This one you'll for sure have to rotate, and you can probably try to match it up with the lines that are the sides that are the same length. This one I'm sure you'll have to rotate, but think about how it can fit together. So I would probably rotate it so that one of these ends fit in this way, right? And then this one, I'm guessing you'll be able to just slide, okay? And if you want to try all of them, you're welcome to. You can use your transparency page. So you can see that I've done that with this one, and I just slid it around, right? So this is a great way to try if you're not sure if it's gonna work or how it's gonna work. You can use your transparency paper and your whiteboard marker and just troubleshoot it, right? And give it a try and see what works, okay? All right, so now it's your turn. So if you haven't already, please give this a try, right? So grab the shapes that you can possibly use and put them on your dot paper and make your tessellations, okay? And once you've done that, it's time to hop into our workbook. So we're doing exercise number 49 today. So it starts on page 83. In this first page, I trust that you guys will be able to do your coloring in the tessellations. But I just wanted to point out, when you're asked to continue the tessellations on this page, these 2 pages, I would suggest that you use your transparency paper to help you, okay? And I'll show you how you can do that, just in case you're not sure which direction to continue your tessellation on, okay? So let's have a look at that quickly, and then it'll be time to do your homework. So here's the first one, and there's a couple strategies for trying to complete this. So if you wanted to, you could just kind of rotate it in your head or see what it looks like, and you can kind of see it. So we've got up 2 over 1. So you can just try following up 2 over 1, and then this is up 1 over 1. So you could just carry that as up 1 over 1. So you can use the dots as your guide to help you. If that strategy works for you, by all means, you're welcome to do that. And you're supposed to extend them in the space provided. So just keep going as far as you can. If you feel like that's too much for you, I do want you to do it at least 4 times, okay? So like filling in all the way around, okay? But it is best if you do the whole page, okay? So let's see. So if you wanted to use this to help you, this is my transparency paper now. You can trace your shape. So this is my starting shape. And you can use that to help you visualize where it'll go. And so now we know that we can mark this dot and this dot and this dot, okay? And you can see, so even like I would slide it down here and then it fits there and it fits here and here. But for this row, it looks like I'll have to rotate it. So I would take it here and you can just stop when the line is, and up here, right? So you can use this as a guide, and even like moving it over here, you can have that help you, because these ones will have to be upside down because it looks like it's a rotation between the shapes going this way, right? So feel free to use the transparency paper to help guide you a little bit with your workbook, or study where the dots are, okay? So that's what I would suggest for your workbook. And that is math for today. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. And we do have our Math Zoom on Thursday this week for questions as well. But don't forget our rule that they don't have any gaps in them, and that you'll probably be able to do it by either just sliding the shape or rotating the shape, usually upside down, okay? So have fun, and that is math for today.